Friends, please welcome founder and CEO of the Center for Scholars and Storytellers, Yalda Yules.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I know it's an incredibly busy time with the election, with all the games that are happening, so we're very grateful that all of you are here, and we hope you can stay for the whole day. We have a wonderful day of programming. So I'm going to go to my next slide. That's me. I'm the founder and CEO of the Center for Scholars and Storytellers at UCLA. We are in our 6th year. For those of you that don't know me, I used to be a movie executive. I worked at Sony. I worked at MGM. I was senior vice president. And then when I had kids, I stepped off and got a PhD in developmental psychology, like one does when one leaves the movie business. And I studied how media impacts young people. Then I launched the center in 2019. I brought together all my passions, research, storytelling, young people, and created this organization that you'll hear a lot about today to try to improve the media landscape for young people and shift culture by going to the people that consume media the most, that are really ready to sort of think about who they are and their place in the world, that represent the future. So that's why I launched the center. So first, I really have to thank 2 people in particular. If you notice all the branding, if you've come to this event before, this place was put together by 2 people in particular. April Cisneros, right there. Thank you, Director of Marketing. She's brilliant. She's a get-it-done kind of person. Love those kinds of people. And Annie Myers, where are you? Please stand up. And she's probably out at the check-in desk because she's working her butt off. And then I want to say there's no way I could have done this without this incredible team. Can people who work for us please stand up, say hello. I hope you meet them. That's Bubba. That's Dr. Hines. That's Paul Condolora. That's Matt. There are a lot of people. They have blue shirts on. You know, 6 years ago, it was just me. I would have been the only person with a couple of volunteers. So to be at this point with this incredible team that I love so much, that really help this work expand, get to youth, to storytellers, create, research that gets headlines all around the world is amazing. And I want to point out Madeline DeNono, who works for the Gina Davis Institute, and they were my inspiration for launching this because, that intersection of understanding the entertainment world, which obviously Gina does, and I feel I do because I came from it, and understanding research is really what makes the difference, I think, and I think that's why they've been so effective, and hopefully we're following in their footsteps for young people. I also want to thank our incredible sponsors, Disney. Thank you so much. Presented by Disney. We're really, really grateful to you. All of these other organizations, they've not only sponsored and given us financial support, they've given us moral support, they've given us amplification. They're our partners, and we look forward to working with you guys all in the years to come. Okay, so why now? Why storytelling? Why adolescence? This is the world we live in, right? Phones, media, 24/7. When I got my PhD, it was 2009, 2 years after the iPhone launched. The world shifted. All of a sudden, at the time, psychologists, developmental psychologists, that's my PhD, thought, oh, media doesn't impact behavior. It doesn't really shift attitudes. Now, so many people study this because media is everywhere in a young person's environment. And storytelling, because there is so much information out there, is more important than ever. Without storytelling, how can you make sense of the information? And storytelling during adolescence is incredibly important. So to tell you about the power of storytelling, anybody recognize this and this? So there's a study called the Implicit Association Test out of Harvard. Some of you may know implicit bias, explicit bias, or unconscious bias is sort of the layman's term. I'm sure you all understand what that is. So these researchers, before Trump got elected, thought, we have a black president. That should have shifted culture, right? That should have shifted bias. We have this amazing man as our president. And they studied to see between 2008 and 2016 whether implicit bias went down, race bias. What do you think? Did it shift? No shift. At the same time, Glee was on the air. This show, how many of you know this show? It had some incredible characters. It was really mind-blowing at the time. I have a lot of anecdotal evidence about how great it was. I believe this shifted culture. But you don't have to believe me. Well, this isn't a direct causation thing. It's a correlational thing. But do you think unconscious bias of LGBTQ+ shifted during that time? Oh, you have a great story. Yes, it went down 13%. So some of you have seen me do this time and time again, but it's an oldie but goodie. So I believe that entertainment media can shift culture in a way that nothing else can. And then adolescence is such a critical time. Science says now, the National Academy of Science, that adolescents are the years between ages 10 to 25. Puberty is starting earlier. Brain development we're now knowing doesn't end till 25 plus. I have a almost 25-year-old. I can tell you that is true. She even says it. My prefrontal cortex has finally developed, Mom. And so it's a time where media is really important. Friends are really important. Media and friends. Media is the super peer, some scientists say. And it's a time where if you appeal to their imaginations through storytelling, I believe you can shift culture. So I've been thinking about adolescents. Adolescents are naturally forward thinkers, right? Future thinkers. They're looking forward. We know there are people, and I've really started to think about it, there are people that think forward and think, okay, how can we improve the future? How can we live in modern times? And then there are people who look backwards and think, how can we make it the way it used to be? And the question is, who are you? We are forward thinkers. I'm a forward thinker. But movie executives are no different. They also often think backwards. There are some that think forwards. You're going to hear from several of them today, some of the best and brightest minds and creators in the business who are forward thinkers. But there are plenty that think backwards. They have biases, entrenched biases. And we believe our data can help, and our data can help them move to looking towards the future, because they're also supposed to be into data and research. So I heard this morning, some of you may know, we released a study yesterday, which you will see, that got coverage in the New York Times, the LA Times, Daily Mail, all over. And I heard today that a movie executive that was a senior executive way back when I was in the business, so he is very old school. Oops, I shouldn't have gendered him. But he shared our research with his entire creative team. So that means he is looking at what youth across this country say they want. And hopefully there will be some forward thinkers there and who will be thinking and wanting to talk to young people, which we also do. On Tuesday, we brought a group of 5 young people to a studio to talk about what they want, and there were plenty of people in the room listening to them. So I really believe that what we're doing is gonna shift culture and move us towards the future. And just to give a little sort of inspiration, I hope, can anyone recognize the person in the middle, speaking of the future, I hope? I shouldn't be partisan, but that's me, 7-year-old me at my birthday party in Oakland, and that's Kamala Harris and her sister. And no matter who you're voting for, I hope that you can see how kind of cool that is. And our mothers knew each other. They were breast cancer scientists, immigrants, and they were brilliant women. And they had 2 daughters, and one of them is, a vice president and may reach the highest office in the land. So that just shows you what future thinking, optimism can do. Huh? And the other started this organization. Thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about Teens and Screens. This is the report. We're hoping you can download it if you haven't already. Please do read it rather than read the press about it. Reading the comments in the New York Times, and people were saying all these things, and none of them had clearly read the report. They just read the reporter's report. So I hope that you can download it, but these are just a few of the articles. There's plenty more. I want to shout out to Atlas Burris, our Gen Z first author. They may be outside. Dr. Alicia Hines over there, our brilliant director. Stephanie Rivas-Lara, who did it last year and the year before, and me. We're very proud of this report, because last year, Reese Witherspoon shared it with her group. So people are sharing it in Hollywood, and we're really excited about that. So I'm just going to quickly give you a few of the high-level findings. One of the most exciting things, and this is what the LA Times reported on, was we asked teens, what would you do if time and money and getting there was not a constraint? What would you do? Where would you go? We gave them a list of these 6 things. They all said to go see a movie during opening weekend, which I was frankly shocked, because everyone's always talking about the movie business dying. We actually, in that panel on Tuesday, when we had these 5 teens, it was so clear how much they love movies. And if you just give them what they want, I don't think we have been, but if you give them what they want to go and see movies. This year, what was really interesting and perhaps sad is fantasy jumps. So you can see it's a huge, last year, they wanted to see personal life and relatable issues as their #1 thing. This year, I think because they're all trying to escape in some ways, fantasy worlds is what they're most interested in. And I hope someday Hollywood will see this. This is the 3rd year in a row that they said they don't want stories that are about rich and famous people. Hollywood often thinks that's what they want. And there will still be people saying, like the New York Times said, just because they say they want it doesn't mean they don't want it. Doesn't mean their behavior will reflect that. But until we have enough content that gives them other choices, we don't know for sure. Again, romance still beats romance. For those of you that saw the headlines last year, Jimmy Kimmel actually put it in his opening monologue. The Onion made fun of it. Was very proud of that. And so romance still beats romance. And in fact, even more. And I believe, actually, this may have always been the case. It's developmentally normal for young people to want to, and what they're doing is they're learning about their peers. They want to learn about friendships. That is the most important thing for them. You know, as they get older, 21, 22, so that might change, but when they're young, they care about friendships more than anything else. And our content, I personally believe in 3 years after hearing that movie executive sent our study around, in 3 years, we're going to see more shows targeted to teens and movies with friendships. And hopefully maybe less sort of, shoehorned in sex. And then social media is the most authentic. This year, there's a YouTube contingent here. They actually said YouTube was more authentic than TikTok. Go YouTube. And if you saw, YouTube is the #1 brand they love the most. And we work a lot with YouTube, so it's all about us. We're the reason. No, just kidding. But they hate the way it's shown. They cringe when it's shown, and you can see we have a video that's pretty funny where they talk about that. And if you don't know, so we have this oral history series. We have lots of resources on our site. Please go and visit our site. They're all free, and they all reflect the lived experience of adolescence. And adolescents these days are almost majority people of color. It's intersectional. Every adolescent deals with every identity issue, and it's critical to really reflect, let them see themselves. They'll talk about it, and they will hopefully reward you if you create content that reflects their lives. So I think we have time for the video, yeah? So we're gonna show you right now a few of our youth group that Bubba runs, our youth media representation. We have a few of those youth in this room, I think. Feel free to raise your hand. You're on the video, so let's let's hear what you think.
I think as like a screenwriter and a filmmaker, plot is so important to me, and I feel like a lot of times when it comes to like stories of like teenagers and young people, it's often depicted very surface level. What I love with some stories is that the plot has great bones, it's dynamic, it showcases our stories and how layered we are as young people, and I just really love that when the plot is just really great.
If I'm with my friends, then I'm more likely to watch a movie because that's a way to kind of bond with my friends and watch movies and TV shows that we both like. But it does take time to pick out a movie or TV show.
I think that's because TikTok has kind of gained more popularity than YouTube. And at least me personally, I kind of go to YouTube for more like enriching content because it's long form. So you can't really quote unquote doom scroll or just kind of like mindlessly fry your brain on YouTube. Like it's like actual content.
I believe the reason that YouTube is higher than TikTok is because of all the backlash and media conflict which TikTok has been going through in the past month or two.
A very popular reason for consuming media that was indicated in the survey and also in general is like an escapism thing, or just like, I think a lot of what like the magic of what TV and movies can be is like fantasy almost, like where it's like stuff within your wildest imagination. I don't know.
Roblox and Fortnite are both really popular games around teens, like young kids too. And like, especially Fortnite, we had a lot of collaborations, such as like Dragon Ball, and they even had like Family Guy, which brought a lot of people in there, which made the game really popular.
For like diversity to be something that people value so much in video games, I think that shows that the importance of it and how there should be more games with diversity in it.
So those are actual real teens. We have a program, the Youth Media Representation Program. Those are teens from that program talking about our research.